think hackerspaces are for people who enjoy doing these things for the sake of doing it. It's a place between home and work, and we don't have the goal to produce anything innovative that comes from itself. It's coded in the system, I think, but it's not a goal to go on the market or to develop anything like that. We are like the soil of innovation. We have the ideas that sprout, and then if it's a good idea, then we have the means to go to other organizations, innovation incubators, where you can have this idea developed from a business point of perspective. But we are very strictly non-profit, and you don't need to have a big sponsor who's pumping millions. This is all done by ourselves. The whole building is basically operated and maintained by us without any external funding. So this is really to show that innovation can be low cost, and there are no barriers to, only your psychological barriers to creating something and getting things done.
How do you live?
How do I live?
How do you make a living with this?
I don't.
Okay.
We're quite well known already, fortunately, in Hungary, and we are quite proud that we are invited to many conferences and we are participating in lots of projects.
So I come from Piratpartiet. It's a Swedish political party. It was formed in 2006. It consists basically of two types of people: copyright abolitionists. We also had a quite large part of Piratpartiet coming from the Software Patent Directive. People they were very active between 2002, 2005. Probably some of you here even were active in that campaign. It was this huge directive. Hundreds of activists from all over Europe came to Brussels only to make the European Parliament say, we don't want software patents in Europe. In the end, they succeeded, I think 6th of June 2005, and the Parliament rejected a directive that would have allowed for software patents. And it's the first time, and probably the only time, that any activist group will have made the Parliament reject an entire directive, so that was quite a big success. Activism is not enough. In the European institutions or in national parliaments, as an activist, you can spend 24 hours a day for 2 years working your ass off, being the most knowledgeable person in all of Brussels on the topic you're working with, and it doesn't matter, as long as you don't have the cash to back it up. You're never going to be quite as successful as you could have been. The idea of Piratpartiet was to go into the parliament, grab seats, and be where the power is and can work from inside the corridors. You don't have the same liberties as a parliamentarian as you would do as an activist. As an activist can go all over and make all sorts of alliances and have really extreme points of view. It doesn't matter for an activist because they push their thing. As a parliamentarian, you're a bit more bound by the system. Europe is a market economy, so you're not going to get very far talking about anything else, because the vast majority of people in Brussels will listen to a market liberal argumentation. Same thing, competition law. I like competition law. Usually I refer to competition law for anything, whenever there is something wrong. Copyright is an aberration against competition law, so are patents. So it works very well. And it took me some time, because, okay, so Piratpartiet has 2 members of the European Parliament now. We were elected in June of the European parliamentary elections in Sweden in June of 2009. To a large part, what's lacking in the Parliament currently is somebody who brings the real world there. And I'm hoping that I can be that person. I'm just very annoyed with France at the moment, since last week. I hate them. So, no, I'm serious about that. They're not good.
France insisted the parliament still goes to Strasbourg. Nobody likes Strasbourg. Even French MEPs don't like Strasbourg.
Why? It's a beautiful city!
Yes, but not if you have to go there every 4th week. Now it's impossible to get to. Nobody likes the parliament moving to Strasbourg.
Yeah, okay.
It takes time, it's stressful, you have to move lots of documents, you have to organize logistics, there's hotel. Now, the Lisbon Treaty entered into effect last year.
Yeah.
Right? On December 1st,
okay.
2009.
Okay.
Now, my position in the parliament is hinging on the Lisbon Treaty. So under the Lisbon Treaty, I'm an MEP. My voters have the right to be represented since December 1st, 2009.
Okay.
The Lisbon Treaty, which is the upgrade of the constitutional framework, has been the promise of democracy for European citizens since 2001. You're talking about 8 years of talking about how democratic the Union is going to be. France championing this treaty, pushing for it to the last, like having arguments with Poland, Czech Republic, Ireland, you need to ratify this treaty now. But on December 1st, what do the French say when it comes to the European parliamentarians? Oh no, we forgot to elect ours. We don't know who they're going to be. Now, Italy and the UK also didn't know who their elected MEPs were going to be under the Lisbon Treaty, but they sort their problems out in a month. So by January 1st, everyone except France knows who their new MEPs are going to be. In May and in June, the French government are protesting again the proposal for including new MEPs in the parliament, meaning that the process for getting me into the parliament, representing my voters like they have the right to, the reason they cite is budget. That's bullshit. The European Parliament employs 4,500 people. Having an extra 18 MEPs is not a problem. So the budget issue is bogus. They're waiting for France, and France is deliberately delaying this process. France is doing squat on. Squat on. They're not doing shit. But this is the fourth time, like the third or fourth time, that France deliberately obstructs democracy in Europe, and I don't think that's okay.
If you want to join us,
On va voir le Hungarian space.
Yes. You're going to Hackerspace right now? That sounds like a lot of fun.
yeah,
No.
Sterling Cup.
Let's go! Gärna fordítás!
Well, yeah, food, just like everything else in the whole hackerspace, is all public domain. So if there is no name sticker on it, like "It's mine, please don't touch it," then it's okay to take it because it's all public domain. I think it's a mixture of both. We tried to use the methodology that worked for open source projects because most of the hackers from the 1960s and 70s worked on software projects because it's really easy to collaborate in software projects because you can be on the other side of the world. And in those decades, we had a really much experience which gathered around how to handle big projects, for example the Linux kernel or the Apache web server, which is used by millions of people. These projects were also conceived in small and then growing to big distributed groups. So for example, if Linus Torvalds someday just says that I don't want to develop Linux anymore, there's going to be a Linux. And we just try to apply the same to the three-dimensional real world. So in this space, no one is special. If you're at the plenum, you can be a part of the hackerspace's future, you can decide about things. But for example, if Stefan one day says he doesn't want to have a great part in the hackerspace, then he can go in and the hackerspace will still work, and that applies to every one of us. And this is for recording the presence of hackers in the hack, so it's HackSense, and it has here, and I'll show you that it has two buttons and two little lights. If you come into the hackerspace, you press the green one. If you leave the hackerspace, I mean you're the last, and you close it, you press the red. And this is connected to a Linksys router, which I've written a small program to, and it sends a signal to a web server, so we have a big database when the hackerspace was opened and closed. And because of that, for example, we can have on our homepage whether we are closed or not.